Counter-Reformation was a movement within the Catholic Church to not change any of the Catholic doctrine, but to sort of root out some of the corruption. To sort of root out some of the corruption that was in the Catholic Church at the time, and it was sort of fueled on by a lot of the Catholic self-urge for Reformation. A lot of the people within Catholicism were pretty upset. And then in addition to that, you have all of these essentially rebels coming up and trying to split off from the Catholic Church. So you had the Protestant movement and the Lutheran movement putting pressure on the Catholic Church to try and make people want to stay with them. Right? So what you had at the start was Pope Paul III, right? And he started out trying to be all nice, and he was trying to talk to people and be like, listen guys, we're actually really great. Look at all of this Reformation, what we're doing. And then it didn't work out as well as he wanted it to, so he was like, you know what, screw it, Inquisition in Rome. And so he just started going into Rome, just slaughtering Protestants, because that's what they do in their free time. And so that wasn't necessarily what they quite wanted. Then you had Pope Paul IV, right? Wasn't much better. He started censoring books, right? And really, really cracking down on the heresies, right? But all of this, sort of resisting the Counter-Reformation actually only made the Counter-Reformation urge stronger. And so that brings us into some of the other elements.
And it's important to note about this Reformation that it stayed strictly within the confines of Catholicism. There were no new branches created by this Reformation. It just was focused on going back to the roots of Catholic doctrine. So we have the Council of Trent, where all the bishops convene and start discussing how they can purify the Catholic religion. And they come out of there with a lot of new rules set in place that kind of heighten the moral standards within the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church becomes more unified and organized. It calls for a higher education of the priests, so the people that are performing the sacraments know what they're doing and are, know about the Catholic religion, which was not always the case before this Reformation.
So Hank talked about some of the reasons for why it happened, but some of the results of this. It didn't really completely change anything at all in Catholicism, because they were still, honestly, more secretly, they were still just as corrupt. But it did really heighten the public opinion of the Catholic Church, because they were all being much more secret about the corruption that was going on, and it wasn't as public. So it was successful in that way. Because part of the reason before, as Hank talked about, was because of the Protestant movement going on. They're trying to take people back from that and come back to the Catholic Church. Also, other results from it are groups such as the Jesuits and the Ursulines, and the Capuchins, Camille talked about. But also, the Catholic Church became much more organized and centralized because of it, because of this Counter-Reformation within the Catholic Church, and so that was another benefit for the Catholics.
And these groups that Robin mentioned were created all with the sole purpose of going back to the roots of Catholicism. So you have all these groups within Catholicism that still exist today that were created, and they all have their own kind of rituals that differ a little bit, but stay within the confines of this Catholic religion.
Also, some of them did pretty well. I know that the Jesuits actually only got a short prison sentence, which is awesome.
And well, you can still see that these groups are prominent and today, because there are a lot of colleges that are actually Jesuit colleges, and
that's where that started from.
Okay.